and welcome. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe coming to you from Los Angeles, California. It's Thursday, the 8th day of July, 2021. Tonight, we have updates from our correspondents here in the U.S. Joining us live, Lovely Anderson in Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth Independent School District, one of 8 in the nation to receive funds for anti-human trafficking program.
Several stories from our team here in California. Mylene Cusho in North Hills.
Los Angeles breaks ground for permanent supportive housing for homeless seniors and veterans.
Marianne Borja in Van Nuys.
Southern California cities to study local traffic and parking issues.
For environment news, Daniel Glensukulis in West Hills.
Los Angeles announces a $25 million investment in the Wilmington and Long Beach region for Electrify America's Green City Initiative.
For health news, Joel Garcia in Northridge.
New health research suggests your immune system strength depends on the time of day.
For entertainment, Kay Regalado in Woodland Hills.
Scarlett Johansson returns as Black Widow in the new Marvel movie.
For EBC Travel, Rafaela Tigno in Panorama City.
Orange County Great Park announces construction of Wild Rivers Water Park opening in summer 2022.
In Las Vegas, Ruth Ador Dioniso reports about Clark County in Nevada nearing double-digit in COVID-19 positivity rate. In Union Township, Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez reports about Governor Murphy signing a legislation to protect New Jersey workers and employers from unlawful misclassification. In New York, Melanor Tanhueco takes us to New York City's ticker tape parade, celebrating hometown heroes. And for our roundtable, July is National Picnic Month. Let's find out what our team wants packed in that picnic basket. Our coverage begins now. Haiti's National Police Director, Leon Charles, says in a televised statement, 6 of the assailants are in police hands as officers hunt down suspects in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Charles says they already have the physical perpetrators and are looking for the intellectual perpetrators. Police in Haiti on Thursday hunted down suspects in the assassination of President Moïse, with 4 alleged perpetrators killed and 1 American among those arrested as the country lurched into chaos. The poorest country in the Americas now has no president or working parliament and 2 men claiming to be in charge as prime minister. The streets of the capital, Port-au-Prince, are tense and shops, banks, and gas stations closed with no immediate information on who killed the president or why. The main airport has also closed, as was the border with the Dominican Republic. United Nations envoy to Haiti, Helen Lalim, speaking from the Haitian capital, says 4 members of a group that attacked the president's private residence early Wednesday and shot the president have been killed by police and 6 others were in custody. Meanwhile, State Department spokesman Ned Price says during a news briefing in Washington, Haitian authorities have requested U.S. assistance to investigate the assassination of President Moïse. Price says the U.S. is aware of the Haitian National Police request for investigative assistance, and the United States is responding.
Because the Haitian authorities are, of course, leading this investigation. It's still early days. We're aware of the reports of the arrests that have taken place, but I would need to refer to Haitian authorities for any details.
And we discussed yesterday.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the Biden administration supports Haiti's democratic institutions and will provide any necessary assistance after the assassination of President Moïse.
It is our view, and we continue to call for elections to happen this year, and we believe they should proceed. We know that free and fair elections will facilitate a peaceful transfer of power to a newly elected president, and we certainly continue to support Haiti's democratic institutions. We will call on of the president, and he's made clear to the administration officials that we stand ready to assist in any way they need, whether it's in the investigation or other federal assistance we can offer from here.
Here's today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, July 8, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 185,355,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases are the U.S. at over 33.7 million, India at over 30.7 million, and Brazil at over 18.9 million. This virus has now already claimed more than 4 million lives worldwide. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the US with more than 606,000, Brazil with more than 528,000, India with more than 405,000. The total vaccine doses administered worldwide is now at 3,337,092,079. The Fort Worth Independent School District joins 7 others in the nation in receiving funds to finance a program designed to fight human trafficking. Eagle News correspondent Lovely Anderson joins us this evening with the details.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy, howdy from the Lone Star State. Good evening, America, and magandang umaga, Philippines. Summer weather is heating up here in North Texas. Today's high was 97 degrees, but overnight we are looking at a slightly cooler night with 70-degree weather. In local news, local North Texas news that is, the Fort Worth Independent School District is but one of 8 school districts in the entire nation that will receive a new federal grant to develop and launch programs that will prevent human trafficking victimization. Fort Worth ISD will be partnering with local nonprofit and anti-human trafficking organizations such as Unbound North Texas and Three Strands Global Foundation. The 3-year program will provide funds up to $600,000 annually to help the district's objectives to increase teachers' understanding of the complexities surrounding human trafficking and to make students aware of protective factors and to train qualified student support service staff to implement the project activities across the district. Elementary students in grades 4 and 5 will be taught foundational concepts and tools to develop personal boundaries to keep them physically and emotionally safe, both online and in person. Middle school students will learn about the different forms of child abuse, such as exploitation and trafficking, and the importance of trusting their gut and how to be empowered to report if their boundaries are crossed. High school students will also be taught about warning signs, recruitment through social media and video games, signs of grooming, laws of trafficking, and how media can influence and desensitize people toward exploitation. The project will be launched this summer with citywide and prevention campaign called Don't Get Tricked, which was coined by the local trafficking survivors. The slogan intends to alert individuals on how they might be approached by human traffickers online and via cell phone for the purpose of sex and labor trafficking. As you all know, as a parent, we can always depend on the educational system to do what they can do to help support us as parents, but also as a parent also, and as I speak to other parents, make sure it starts at home. Let's talk to our kids. Let's educate them. I think it always starts with education, so educate your kids. I hope you all are staying safe and cool in your part of the country. In Fort Worth, Texas, I'm Lovely Anderson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Hey, Lovely, we are trying to stay cool over here in Southern California, but it's not really working. How about over there in your neck of the woods? How are your kids enjoying the summer?
I haven't seen them gone out since we've had these triple-digit numbers over here of heat. So I think we're all just staying inside, trying to keep cool. And to everybody else out there in Texas, I'd say hey, let's bring out the swimming pools, the slip and slides. Let's all have a good summer, y'all.
Lovely, when the weather is more cooperative, maybe it would be time to take the family out for a picnic. Speaking of, this is National Picnic Month. And what I want to ask you before I let you go is, name us an item that's not a food item, that's either practical or fun that you can bring to a picnic.
I'm definitely going to have to say a water gun. A water gun.
Lovely, you and I are on the same page. I was going to reserve my item for later, but my item is water balloons. So you and I will be on the same team. And we'll talk a little bit later, Lovely. Thank you for the report.
You're welcome. Thank you.
A surge in new COVID-19 cases alarms Clark County, Nevada. Ruth Adordianiso reports.
Thank you, Alan. The COVID-19 test positivity rate in Nevada and Clark County has more than doubled over the last month to 8.2% and 9.2% respectively. The average number of new daily cases statewide has climbed to its highest level since February, according to health officials. In Clark County, daily new cases over a 14-day rolling average is up 64% compared to a month ago and now has a cumulative total of 263,144. The state's 5 additional deaths all came from Clark County, according to the Southern Nevada Health District's report. The number of confirmed COVID-19 hospitalization also climbed to 518 compared to 173 a month ago and is a trend continuing since the beginning of June. A new study from Becker's Hospital Review showed Nevada with the highest rate of all U.S. states' new cases as of the end of June 2021. The health district continues to sequence samples of positive COVID-19 test results to identify variants of concern. To date, the Alpha variant is the dominant variant with 731 cases, while the Delta variant has been identified in 269 cases. This is a concern for health officials as the vaccination rate is not as moving as fast as they had hoped. Over 50% of those who are eligible for the vaccine have received one shot, and 42.6% are fully vaccinated in Clark County. Las Vegas has fully reopened and lifted restrictions in most businesses since June 1st. Visitor numbers have grown by double digits for the last few months, although not at their pre-pandemic highs. Health officials are yet to see the result of the holiday weekend that just passed and are all the more encouraging all individuals eligible for the vaccine to get their shot to try to get ahead of the increasing number of cases. The last thing that we want is to see positivity rates hitting double digits again. In Las Vegas, Ruth Adordianiso, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you, Ruth, for that report. Aiming to protect his state's workers and employers against unlawful misclassification, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signs a legislation. Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez files this report.
Thanks, Alan. Governor Murphy held a signing on Thursday, virtually with key figures in the Labor Department. This legislation is to protect New Jersey workers and employers from unlawful misclassification. Here's a clip from the virtual discussion and signing.
This morning, I'm honored to be signing, albeit virtually, 4 pieces of legislation that will further our efforts to eradicate the unfair and frankly abusive practice by some unscrupulous contractors of purposely misclassifying their workers as independent contractors. These employers do this for a simple reason: to save themselves a few bucks by skipping out on paying their employees their fair wages and benefits. Workers who are misclassified as independent contractors are not eligible for unemployment benefits, temporary disability benefits, family leave benefits, equal pay, or earned sick leave. They aren't afforded the same health and safety protections as regular employees. Employers who engage in misclassification unlawfully drive down wages and may pay workers in cash off the books to give themselves an unfair competitive advantage against the employers who do right by their workers and follow our laws. And that's an important thing to note. Not only does misclassification hurt workers, which it does, but it also hurts honest employers who play by the rules and pay the women and men who work for them their fully deserved wages and benefits. And as Bill has reminded me over the past number of years, the state also suffers as a result of lost revenue. So this is a lose, lose, lose.
And as for coronavirus stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 264 new positive PCR tests, pushing the total to 894,488. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 4 new confirmed deaths, pushing the total to 23,784 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Always appreciate hearing from New Jersey. Thanks, Carlo. New York City applauds essential workers for their invaluable contribution to the community during the pandemic with a grand parade. Eagle News correspondent Melinor Tanhueco has the story.
New York City honored the essential workers who brought the city through the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic with a Hometown Heroes Parade. The parade began at 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning at Battery Park and traveled north along Broadway, ending at City Hall. This was one of the largest ticker tape parades in the city's history, with 10 bands and 14 different floats. The floats represented 260 different groups of essential workers, including hospitals, first responders, transportation, and utilities, small businesses, education, and childcare. Sandra Lindsay, the nurse who became the first person in the United States to receive a COVID-19 vaccine, led the parade and served as Grand Marshal. Mayor Bill de Blasio said, "The summer of New York City is underway, and the beating heart of our recovery is the gratitude and respect we all share for the essential workers who brought this city out of a crisis." Dan Gross, Executive Director of Citywide Events, said, "It being the 125th anniversary of New York City's ticker tape celebrations, this is arguably the most important of them all. From being the epicenter of the global pandemic to being the forefront of recovery. It is our privilege to honor all of our hometown heroes." Due to high temperatures, the ceremony at City Hall was canceled to keep New Yorkers safe from the heat. Instead, at the conclusion of the parade, the mayor and first lady cheered on the marchers. Water was distributed throughout the parade route, and cooling stations for participants were also made available. This parade stretch, called the Canyon of Heroes, is usually reserved for sports teams and astronauts. This time, the everyday heroes received their due recognition. In New York, New York, Melinor Tanhueco, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Honoring hometown heroes in New York. Thanks for that story, Melinor. Up next, more updates from our team here in California. Eagle News America continues.
This program is supported by Magnolia Incorporated. Magnolia ready-to-cook fried chicken. Worry-free na on your next family meal. Yan ang alagang Magnolia. Pure Food Standard Juicy Hot Dog. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Food Standard Juicy Hot Dog. Sanig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. PMAG Premium and ProTac Plus Gold. SMC Infrastructure and Skyway Stage 3 Citrus Central Expressway Corporation. San Miguel Foundation Incorporated. Max Pro Northern Cement, lamang ka dito. Petron Corporation, SMC Global Power, San Miguel Aero City Incorporated, Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. We think customers. We are IT Philippines Incorporated.
Dynabank, your success is our business.
Hubert, your ultimate MAPS air conditioning solutions.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. A permanent supportive housing for homeless seniors and veterans in Los Angeles has broken ground. Joining us tonight is Mylene Cusho with the details.
Thank you, Alan. Los Angeles holds groundbreaking ceremony in collaboration with Weingart Center Association to launch the building project of permanent supportive housing for homeless seniors and veterans at 11010 Santa Monica Boulevard in the city. This new development is part of Proposition HHH, which was passed by voters in 2016 and allocates $1.2 billion in bonds to subsidize funding to support constructions of approximately 10,000 permanent supportive housing units for the homeless throughout Los Angeles. District 5 City Council member Paul Corrett states, "Not only is it the first HHH project to break ground in my district, but it was also the first HHH project approved in the entire city to take on the challenge of substantially reducing per unit construction costs back down to the $300,000 to $400,000 range we promised the voters in 2016. It also targets two high-need, at-risk populations, seniors and senior veterans, common among the unhoused in the West Los Angeles area. Called the 11010 SMB development, the project aims to construct a 5-story permanent housing building with 51 units, broken down to 50 studio units at affordable price for the seniors and veterans confronting homelessness, and one management unit for assistance and support on site. Pets will also be allowed, and there will also be a rooftop deck, as well as a security and a whole array of support services from case management to psychiatric and medical treatment needs. Weingart Center Association will construct this new development with financing by J.P. Morgan Chase. James Vasohi, Community Development Banking Vice President of J.P. Morgan Chase, says, "From its innovative modular design and the plethora of social services, 11010 Santa Monica Boulevard will not only allow residents to get back on their feet, but once again thrive in the community." The development is also nearby the West Los Angeles Veterans Administrative Medical Center, which can provide support for these residents, some of which will be formerly homeless senior veterans. In North Hills, California, Mylene Cusio, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ellen.
Mylene, what's the background of the Weingart Center Association that's working with the city to construct and develop these supportive housing units?
Alan, the Weingart Center Association is a nonprofit company and was established in 1982. So they have been around for almost 40 years, giving support services, including employment and housing assistance to the homeless, and bring stability in their lives. They are based in downtown Los Angeles in a 11-story hotel building there, offering programs and services to over 44 vulnerable Angelenos, those homeless and jobless, every year. In their own words, their aim is to empower and transform lives by delivering innovative solutions to break the cycle of homelessness. So they are a perfect fit in working with the city in construction of these permanent support housing units for those without homes and jobs, especially the seniors and senior veterans throughout Los Angeles. They are looking to start construction they are looking to start construction more permanent housing buildings with 12-story and 18-story high-rise construction on San Pedro Street, a 19-story high-rise construction on South Crocker Street, and a 6-story structure on Broadway Street. Angelenos are hopeful that these will greatly help to bring the homeless outside from the streets to indoors in housing units so they can start to rebuild their lives and transition to productive residents of our society. Alan?
Speaking of productive residents like myself and Lovely Anderson, water guns and water balloons are off the table. We want to ask you item that you can bring to a picnic that's not a food item, that's either practical or fun.
Well, I would say insect repellent, and I will explain later if you want, but that would be something practical for me.
I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you, Mylene, for that report.
You're welcome.
$2.5 million in grant will be awarded to 8 cities in Southern California to fund research about traffic and parking rules. To tell us more, Marianne Borja is with us this evening.
Thanks, Alan. For decades, the Los Angeles region has struggled with traffic congestion and air pollution. In 2020, research reports showed that the average commuter in the LA metro area lost 45 hours per year due to congestion, which costs around $664 in wasted gas. Such congestion has produced around 60 million tons of greenhouse gases produced from highways and roads. In addition, parking is often difficult to find in areas such as business districts, shopping centers, and increasingly many residential areas, where in innermost urban communities, cars are packed across the road. Such statistics and concerns from community members are the basis of the launch of the Southern California Association of Governments project to give $2.5 million to 8 prominent communities in the Los Angeles area for them to study and develop programs and policies to address issues of traffic, parking, curbside commerce, and mobility for seniors and disabled people, among others. Each city receiving the funds will have different plans and visions on how they intend to use them, based on their current needs. For example, the city of Los Angeles plans to focus on studying curb parking and drop-off optimization, while the city of Long Beach will engage in research on the city's areas which are the most affected by pollution and climate change. Rialto, home of several Amazon warehouses, will develop goals and implement strategies to better route the company's truck routes and their effect on residential traffic. Despite the differences between these projects, residents are hopeful that they can implement real change. Clint Lorimore, the associate director of the projects, has promised that these innovative efforts will go a long way toward improving quality of life in communities across Southern California, while also recognizing the growing importance of goods movement and e-commerce on our regional economy. In Van Nuys, California, Marianne Borja, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ellen.
Marianne, another ambitious project, seems to be covering a lot of issues California residents face on the road just about every day. But someone might argue, each city's vision can change depending on their circumstance. This overall project might fail and is unpredictable. So what's being done to ensure that each city can succeed in using their funds well and addressing the issues they promised to research?
Well, Alan, it should be acknowledged that individual budgets and timelines for each project are still being developed as the funding was announced just days ago. However, the Southern California Association of Governments has connections to experts and government members in all of the cities they're funding in fields such as transportation, urban planning, and more. Their work is to collaborate with local governments to better address the transportation needs of their communities and have been successful in several past projects to improve general transit, waste management, and air quality in the area. Alan?
All right, Marianne. So insect repellent is, you can't use it. Name us something practical or fun that's not food that you can bring to a picnic.
Well, the first thing I thought of is pretty much an essential everywhere you go, but I was thinking sunblock and sunscreen.
Protect our skin. Thanks, Marianne. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thanks.
But still to come, more environment news and health. Eagle News America will return shortly. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Moving toward an era of clean transportation revolution, Los Angeles invests $25 million in the Wilmington and Long Beach region for a Green City initiative. To tell us more about the program, Eagle News correspondent Daniel Glenn-Sakulis reports.
Thank you, Alan. The city of Los Angeles announced the $25 million investment in the Wilmington and Long Beach region as part of Electrify America's second Green City project. The celebratory event where this announcement was made was held at the adjacent ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach in the San Pedro Bay, attended by the mayors of both cities, as well as the CEO and president of Electrify America, the California Air Resource Board chair, and the Earth Justice. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti stated, "Clean transportation revolution is not a distant dream for a far-off future. It's a reality happening on our streets and at our ports right now. Our communities on the front lines of skyrocketing temperatures and rising emissions are our top priority when it comes to climate action, and this funding will bring cleaner air to those neighborhoods and speed up our transition to zero emissions technology." Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia further added, "Climate change is absolutely the greatest challenge of our generation and requires focus and investment from the public and private sector. We appreciate Electrify America's interest in Long Beach and look forward to seeing investments in the near future." This $25 million funding will be coming from the $200 million overall investment of Electrify America's California Zero Emission Vehicle, or ZEF, infrastructure plan in the state of California for over a period of 30 months from January 2022 to June 2024. The selected area of Wilmington in the city of Los Angeles, as well as the city of Long Beach, encompassing these two ports, will experience this literal electrifying transformation with renewable energy storage, fast charging public stations, and so much more. In West Hills, California, Daniel Glenn-Sakulis, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Daniel, just how busy are the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach in this San Pedro Bay area?
You know, Alan, these two adjacent ports in the San Pedro Bay are described as the busiest port complex in the United States, with over 18,000 trucks. Just over a month ago, the Port of Los Angeles achieved a record-breaking annual volume milestone in the Western Hemisphere with its 10 millionth container processed within 1 year's time. This is attesting to the high transportation activity in this area. This change to zero-emission technology is part of the City of Los Angeles' main objective in the Clean Air Action Plan, in addition to reaching complete zero-emission cargo handling equipment by the year of 2030 and full zero-emission trucks traveling to and from the port by 2035. Alan?
Well, they're probably shipping lots of sunscreen and insect repellent for a picnic. Speaking of, what would you bring to a picnic that's either practical or fun that's not a food item?
You know, Alan, I grew up in a big football state. And so whenever there's a picnic, we had a football. So football's for me.
I hope it's flag football, Daniel, because I don't
Definitely tackle all the way.
All right, I'll stay on the sidelines. Thank you, Daniel. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, have a good one.
There's a new discovery about our immune system being stronger or weaker at certain times of the day. Interesting? We have Joel Garcia Northridge to share with us information about when our bodies are strongest.
Thank you, Alan. In this time of pandemic the world is currently facing, people across the globe in various age groups have made strong efforts to improve their state of health, whether it be through changing their diets, exercising consistently, or spending more time outdoors. Many have sought out to achieve a healthier lifestyle. The general populace understands the function of the immune system, which serves to protect the body from harmful bacteria or viruses that could potentially infect it. However, what may not be everyday knowledge is how the body responds to fight off disease. Specifically, a common assumption people are naturally inclined to believe is that our immune system works the exact same way whether one is sick during the day or at night. Yet new research from several European countries show that this is not the case, and proves that the body better responds to and fights infections early in the morning over later at night. The key to easily understanding why the body acts like this is visualizing our own body clock, which generates rhythms on how our body moves, our body cells move each day based on our own actions. An example of this is the body's choice of producing melatonin, a chemical that induces sleepiness only at later times of the day. Meanwhile, during the day is when cells that fight viruses are more likely to be in areas of the body that are more susceptible to infection. With this newfound knowledge of the body's immune system, new insights could be found on the effectiveness of vaccines. For example, studies found that adults over the age of 65 who were given the flu vaccine in the morning were more likely to develop higher immunity rates to side effects than those vaccinated in the afternoon. For younger people around the age of 20 who had taken the tuberculosis vaccine, better responses were generated around 8 and 9 a.m. over 12 and 1 p.m. In light of the COVID pandemic, such studies on the vaccine's effectiveness have yet to be tested, as well as the times of day when one's body is more likely to be infected by COVID. Yet these studies show promise in discovering how people can better fight infections and understand their own body's unique immune systems. In Northern California, Joel Garcia, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Joel, about the body clock's relationship with receiving COVID-19 vaccinations, are there scientifically proven, quote unquote, better times to receive the vaccine to lessen side effects?
So how the time of day we're vaccinated against COVID-19 and its impact on our immune response remains to be answered. The studies on the flu and tuberculosis vaccines reaction differ very greatly from the present studies on COVID vaccines because the COVID vaccines reported more effectiveness against its respective disease, with both Pfizer and Moderna reporting over 90% efficacy to the virus. However, people should be vaccinated at whatever time of day is possible for them and shouldn't fear that the body cannot fight the common non-life-threatening side effects of the vaccine. Alan?
Well, one individual who's definitely got a stronger body, Daniel Glenn Sukulis, talking all about that, tackle football. But what about you? What would you bring to a picnic that's either practical or fun?
It is definitely fun, more so than practical. I would bring a dog, because dogs are fun. And who doesn't love the company of dogs in a picnic? Surely I do.
I will stay under the shade and just pet the pet. Thank you, Joel, for that report. Up next, entertainment news, ABC Travel, and today's roundtable about what to pack in a picnic basket for National Picnic Month.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
Ang trabaho naman talaga ng maritime group ng PNP is to enforce the maritime laws.
Tayo lang yung stricto, pero in other parts of the country, pwede na naman ang tourism.
Definitely, we are ready to respond to a possible spike.
Sapagkat ang aming intensyon ay makatulong lang sa mga tao na wala talagang magamit na gamot.
92 voted for this resolution, which will make it stronger, calling on the Justice Department to come up with more stringent ways to be able to avert these hate crimes against Asian Americans.
Mas marami po tayong magagamit ngayon na mga tools or mga equipment.
Maraming salamat, Weng, at sa buong puwersa ng Balitalakayan sa pagkakataong ito.
Tapos kayo ng mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan.
We live in interesting times.
Kay Regalado tells us about Scarlett Johansson's return as Black Widow.
Thank you, Alan. Scarlett Johansson reprises her role as Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, a Russian spy turned SHIELD operative, who then ultimately joined a founding member of the Avengers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The story takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. To bring folks up to speed in her storyline, co-producer Brian Chapek reveals that at this point in time, Romanoff has violated the Sokovia Accords and is on the run from the U.S. Secretary of State, Thunderbolt Ross. With the Avengers broken up, Natasha flees the country, only to come face-to-face with a new and deadly threat. So, where exactly on the planet does this adventure take place? Well, Black Widow was filmed in various locations like Norway, Budapest, Morocco, Atlanta, and in the UK, which supports the filmmaker's vision of what they call a globe-trotting spy film. The conclusion drawn here is that Romanoff's exploits will lead her to very distinct and varying destinations. While there will be plenty of action, evidenced by the fight scenes with Taskmaster, a villain who is probably better known by comic book readers, this movie also aims to delve into the origins of the Red in Black Widow's ledger, mentioned in the first Avengers movie, as well as explore Natasha's development into the self-sacrificing hero we see in Endgame. To pull off this fictional documentary of sorts, the Black Widow's past will catch up with her in the persons of sister assassin Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz as Melina, and David Harbour, who embodies Russia's response to Captain America, or the Red Guardian. More information about Yelena unveils the importance of her role as a potential character foil to Natasha. Forming an uneasy alliance with the Black Widow, Yelena blames much of her suffering on Romanoff. However, Yelena's personality has nonetheless grown in that she is more straightforward and outspoken, which is a stark contrast to Natasha's somewhat introspective and sullen nature. It's also very worth mentioning that Melina and the Red Guardian, parts played by Rachel Weisz and David Harbour, are multi-layered characters who shift between the humdrum existence of a typical Midwest American family to lives punctuated by both hope and regret as spies for Russia. Given that Black Widow is the first film in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, stakes are fairly high, made even more so by the extended wait between this and the last Marvel film that actually played in movie theaters. While wait time between movies gives studios freedom to polish the product and allows anticipation to mount, no one was prepared to have this long of a gap, which, as we all know, was due to the pandemic closing theaters and halting production. So while there's keen interest in box office sales, as well as scrutiny over whether or not Marvel can still crank out blockbuster stories, perhaps what Black Widow represents is an opportunity to gauge how movie watchers weigh the delights of returning in person for a silver screen viewing versus the risks of a very stubborn and variant-prone virus in COVID-19. And yes, we've stressed the word variant because of another Marvel series streaming on Disney+. Fans of the show Loki will know what we mean. Black Widow will show in theaters and on Disney Plus with premiere access tomorrow on July 9. In Woodland Hills, California, Kay Regalado, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Okay, I know exactly what variant means in Loki because I haven't missed an episode yet. Now, when we think of Black Widow, we automatically associate the character with the action sequences that you mentioned in your report, but just how much action can we expect this movie to have?
Alan, star Scarlett Johansson said it herself. In her opinion, Black Widow has some of the best fights in any MCU movie. While Black Widow might not have a hammer summonable at will or a monstrous green alter ego, I think Black Widow's lack of flashy superpowers will place a greater emphasis on the craft of eye-catching and interesting action in this film. And in case you need more convincing, there are reports that 22 widows, so that's 22 spies and assassins who were trained in the infamous Red Room, are in the film. 22. Stunt coordinator Rob Inch talks about how they were looking for people proficient in many forms of martial arts like wushu, judo, and kickboxing in order to establish a diverse set of fighting specialty styles for different widows. I'm on the edge of my seat already. So when it comes to the action, it certainly appears that the movie will resoundingly deliver, really putting the emphasis of lights, camera, action onto the action. Back to you, Alan.
Yeah, we can watch people practicing wushu at a picnic. Speaking of, what would you bring to a picnic, Kay, that's either practical or fun?
I guess coming back to what Joel mentioned, I was thinking about dogs, and I guess what came to mind when I thought about dogs was frisbees. Throw that dog a frisbee and have a good old time.
Perfect combination. Thanks, Kay. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. Eagle News correspondent Rafael Otigno tells us about OC Great Park's construction of a 20-acre Wild Rivers water park that's scheduled to thrill fans next summer. Rafael Otigno has more.
Thank you, Alan. Great news for Southern California residents. To kick off the summertime excitement, Wild Rivers Water Park at the Orange County Great Park is coming back after closing in 2011 and operating for 25 years with the expiration of its lease. The water park was torn down to make way for the development of new apartment buildings on the land for more housing options to Irvine residents. The city of Irvine announces that the start of this 20-acre water park construction described as bigger and better than before, with an opening date of next summer in 2022. With low COVID-19 cases and the reopening in the city and state levels, life for many living in Southern California and Los Angeles is slowly returning to normal. The water park will feature multiple attractions, including thrill slides, pools, and in-ground slides. The current plans and proposals include 20 attractions to be ready by opening day with the potential for a 3-acre expansion as well. Development plans place the attractions into 3 sections. The southwest section to feature Adventure River, Children's Slide, Shallow Activity Pool, or Island, and multi-level play structure. The southeast section to have the family raft rides, tube slides complex, and drop and body slides. And the northern section will be home to the Mart Racers and Wave Pool. In Panorama City, California, Rafaela Tigno, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
If the water park lines are too long, you can always go on a picnic. Speaking of, Rafaela, what is a practical or fun item you would bring?
I would probably bring a picnic blanket. Yeah.
Picnic blanket? Yes, to protect yourself from those pests that we talked about earlier. Rafaela, thank you, and you'll join us later in Roundtable. Well, folks, July is National Picnic Month. And what we want to do is, we had asked our correspondents name an item that was either practical or fun. But of course, the most important item at any picnic is the food. And so now what we want to do is bring our correspondents back on with us. And we're going to ask them to name just one food item, either in their picnic basket or their picnic cooler. So, and what we're going to do, we're literally going to go left to right, and I will start off. And we're going to go according to the letters of the alphabet. So there's no surprise. You know when you have to unmute. Correspondents, make sure you unmute yourself quickly because we're going to go pretty fast with this one. Hopefully we can do the entire alphabet. I will start. Alan, A, food, abalone. Lovely, B. Lovely, you have to unmute yourself.
B, I say berries.
Berries, okay. Mylene, C.
King crab claws.
Okay. Where am I? Joel, D.
Donuts.
Excellent. K. What am I at? E.
Egg salad.
Marianne, F.
A fan.
Food. It has to be food.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fried fish.
Okay. G. Rafaela.
Grapes.
Grapes. H. Daniel.
Wow.
It's hard.
I don't know what sounds the age. Hot dogs. Hot dogs.
Oh, you got it. Okay. I. Ice cream. There you go. Lovely. J.
Jelly for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Mylene, K.
Ketchup.
Joel, L.
Links. Hot dog links.
There was already hot dogs there, but whatever. K. What are we? M.
I don't know why, but I can only think of miso soup.
Miso soup at a picnic. Yes, it's Japanese themed. All right. Marianne, N.
Nuts, peanuts, nuts.
Nuts. But except unless you have a nut allergy. Okay, Rafaela, O.
Orange.
Oh, I like it. You're so healthy. P. Daniel.
Pickles.
Okay. Alan, Q. Quinwa? I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about. Quin something or other. R. Lovely.
Quinoa, but for R, I'm going to say raspberry iced tea. Can't go wrong with iced tea in the hot.
Didn't you say berries earlier? All right, I'm picking up a theme here. Let's go with the letter S, Mylene.
Strawberries.
Berries again. T, Joel.
Tropical fruit.
You're very imaginative. U, K.
We'll keep up the Japanese theme and go udon.
Okay, it's a Japanese picnic. Okay, T, V, Marianne.
Ooh, that's a hard one. You're gonna have to help me out with this one, Alan.
Well, just imagine it's not going to be nearly as hard as Daniel's coming up.
Oh, I guess we'll have to go with. But I'm stuck on this one, Alan.
Okay, well, I think we can go with Vienna. Okay, hot dogs, Vienna sausage. I know we're actually naming a brand, whatever. W, Rafaela.
Waffles.
Waffles at a picnic, of course. Hot summer day, you better bring the waffles. Oh, Daniel, the letter is X.
Wow, you guys really. All right, X. Wow. I don't know. Extra steaks. I don't know.
What did you say? What was that?
Extra steaks.
Extra. Okay, we forego the E. Just go with the slang X. Okay, what are we at? Y. Alan. Yummy. No. Yogurt. That's all I could think of. Y. X. Y. Z. Lovely.
I'm gonna go with zigzag noodles to make some cold noodles. Zigzag noodles, if that's possible.
Zigzag noodles is fine. Folks watching at home, feel free to use this game whenever you're in the car, a trip with your family, heading up to a picnic or somewhere afar. You feel free to play this game and woe to the one that lands on X. Daniel, that was great. Extra. We'll take some extra zigzag noodles. All right, we have a little bit more time. I want to ask you, Daniel, since we put you on the spot, do you have any plans on going to a picnic with your family in the coming days?
Actually, we were just talking about that, and absolutely. I like the outdoors, and I want to be able to make sure that my family's able to get out outside of the house, especially coming out of the pandemic, to get some exercise and get some nice fresh air and enjoy the scenery.
You mentioned tackle football. I know you have 2 girls. So is that still going to be something to do at a picnic?
Absolutely. I'm going to tackle them. They're 12 and 14. I'm going to just throw it down on them. I'm going to throw it down on them.
Right. Let's remind them who's in charge here. Lovely. You and I were on the same team because, I was thinking water balloons because, the people there need to have a little fun getting all soaked and wet. You mentioned water guns. Have you ever had any experiences ambushing people at picnics with water guns?
I have 2 teenage boys, so we're always messing around. So we've got all kinds of water guns here at the house.
If they're ever out of line, Daniel Glensukulis can tackle them. All right. We also talked about, somebody mentioned insect repellent. Mylene, right? You said you were going to explain to us about that. What's up with insect repellent?
Well, I recently was bitten by an insect. I don't know what kind, and neither does the doctor. But I had an allergic reaction to it that required 3 shots of cortisone, and that wasn't fun. It was behind my thigh, so that was not fun at all. And so I want to make sure I bring insect repellent. I mean, I love being outside, and this is the first time this has ever happened. So that's something I need to bring with me at all times if I'm going to spend long hours outside.
We're very sorry to hear that. We're glad that you recovered. And what we know is that there's a home remedy for insect repellent. I think it's quinhua, whatever it is that Lovely was able to help us with. You know what? Quinhua. When you go out to your picnic, let's not forget to invite some very important people, and you know who we're talking about. If you know some of these frontline workers, these first responders and essential workers, because they really deserve our appreciation, and why don't we show it with a much-deserved round of applause? We appreciate you, and those extra zigzag noodles are on us. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Basolyahe. We live in interesting times.
Start up your weekday mornings with edutainment, news, and information kasama ang inyong paboritong Net25 shows. Samahan ang inyong paboritong morning barkada sa Pambansang Almusal at 5 a.m. Tatalakayin mga pangunahing balita